to do the first project, which is a color wheel. Now the color wheel is just a skills-based assignment, just so that I can see that you know how to use Adobe Photoshop. So let's go ahead and start. We should have Adobe Creative Cloud open. And let's open up Photoshop. While we're waiting for this to load, I just want to go over the actual assignment. So in the tab, we are going to go down to photo editing with Photoshop, and you should now see activity 1 color wheel. So the description is in the actual tab here. So first off, in this assignment, I want to make sure everybody knows how to use the bucket tool and object selection tool. So first off, I want you to save this image right here, and you just have to right click on that and save image. You're going to open it in Photoshop, so I'll show you how to do that in a second. Use the bucket tool to fill each section in red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple are primary and secondary colors. Oh, sorry about that. Third thing you're going to do is find images online that would go into each color of each section of the color wheel. So I want you to do 2 images for each color. So 2 yellow, 2 red, 2 blue, and so on. And then you're going to save them into your references folder. Remember we talked about that the other day, how to stay organized. That was one of the announcements. Put that in your reference image folder. Next, what you're going to do is add the images into Photoshop and use the object selection tool to copy and paste them into the color wheel. Try your best to get a clean clean edge. This will help if you have a higher quality image. You can also, if you have a little bit extra, I always like to just erase it and I can kind of touch up the edges like that. Resize them if you need to, and then export the image as lastname.colorwheel, and it'll probably save as a PNG, and then submit it. So for this assignment, you get 13 marks. You get 1 mark just for exporting it with the right name. You get 1 mark for having the correct color in the color section of the color wheel, and then you get 1 mark for having 2 objects in the section. So there's 6 sections, so you get 6 marks for color, 6 marks for having objects in there, and then 1 mark for your name. So that is 15 marks. Because I already have a file, I'm not going to hit new file. I'm just going to hit open. And I am going to go into my references and color wheel. Now I already have a few objects saved. Alright, so first we're going to explore where our paint bucket is. So I'm just going to go through some of these buttons here. So this one is to move around. Sorry about that. We have a few different selection tools here. This one is our crop tool, so if we want to get rid of the edges of a picture. Our frame tool, this one's actually new to me, but I would usually do this as a layered mask, but there's another way to do this now. So let's say you want to change the inside of something to make it look like something else. We have our eyedropper tool, so if I already had color in this picture, I could click on that color and it would select it, just so I don't have to find the exact same color over here. We have a healing spot, so this can be done like this. They make it look very easy there, but it can be a little bit trickier than that. You can also do that using the cloning tool as well. We have our brushes to draw with. Our clone stamp, this is what I just talked about. If you want to move something over, if you want to make the background look the same extended, that helps you clone it. History brush, we won't really be using that too much. The eraser, you'll use that a lot. Our gradient tool, that's if you wanted there to be a gradient in the background from 2 different colors. We have our blur tool. I don't use this too often. Dodge and burn, so one of them makes the area lighter and one of them makes them darker. And there are other tools in here as well. So for example, in the gradient, there's also a paint bucket in there. If you see a little arrow, that just means there's more. We have our pen and our transformation tool. We have our text tool. And it's frozen. We're going to experience that a lot on these computers, especially on the board computers. They don't have the best RAM hard drives to support these programs, so unfortunately, we just have to be a little bit more patient. We have our shape tools and our magnifying glass. So what we're going to be using today mostly is the object selection tool and the paint bucket tool. So let's get that paint bucket tool up first. So either select my color here or I'm going to select it here. So let's just start with red. And obviously it just reads the outline of the object. If I use the eraser and there was a hole between these two black lines, then it would be going into each section. So our primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. And then our secondary colors. Alright, there we go. Now I have filled in my section. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to find objects, and I've already done that. We're going to open them up in here, and we're going to copy and paste them in. So I'm going to hit File and Open. Remember, this is going to open on a different tab. So let's open up those lemons first. I'm going to use my quick selection tool. You can really play around with all of them. Does help when you have a white background, otherwise it's probably not going to get as clean. There we go, and on my keyboard right now I'm just hitting Control-C, which is copy, or you can use the edit button to do copy there. And I'm going to hitting Control-V now, which is paste. Now obviously these lemons are too big, I actually got a nice clean line on those. I'm going to resize these lemons. And remember, if you don't see these buttons in the corner, it just means that the show transform controls are not on. So let's resize those so they fit in the box. Alright, and that would count as one image. So I need to find something else that is yellow to put it in there. Alright, and I'm going to do that again for each section. So let's open up. I got a fire hydrant. I'm going to zoom into this a bit so it's easier to see the edge. So what you can see with this picture, there's not a very clean line. It's very pixelated. So I just have to know going into this that that's not going to have the greatest selection when I do this. And see, I tried to select something there and it went too much. I'm just going to use my negative selection tool. There we go. It's a little better. Alright, so again, if I was doing a large project, I probably wouldn't use this image just because of how pixelated it is. Copy, paste, there we go, that's one object for red, and so on and so on. I'll do one more, just want to check if anybody's in. Marianne, how's it going? We have the empty template, and I used the bucket tool to fill in each section, and now I'm just going in to copy and paste all my objects in. So let's open up another one. Now, if I select two images at the same time, they're going to be connected when I bring them over into Photoshop. So I'll show you what that looks like. So again, I'm using my quick selection. If you want to see what the magic tool looks like, it's very similar, but it only selects one portion and I can't really add to it. So that's why I prefer using the object or the quick selection tool. Alright, so let's say I selected both my umbrella and these rain boots, or as my mom calls them, wellies in England. They're Wellingtons. Alright, so I've selected all my objects, I hit copy, and then I'm going over to my template up here. So because I've selected them on the same image, you can see that there's this huge space between them now, and I can't get them closer together. And again, that is just because I connected them on the same page. So what I would want to do is I'm going to delete that. I'm going to hit select and I'm going to hit deselect, and that's going to disconnect everything that I just grabbed, and you're just going to want to select them as individual objects. So I'm going to do my boots first, and then I'll come back and do my umbrella. Alright, we're going to resize and go back at it again. Again, I'm hitting deselect. Select again, maybe I'll do the dress this time. Again, when you have objects that you're selecting, it's a lot easier when there's a white background. Typically that'll give you a cleaner edge, but you can always work around that. resize both of those. I forgot to hit the check mark there. And the dress just needs a little bit smaller. There we go.
Attention, Asha Rendawa, please report to the attendance office. Asha Rendawa to the attendance office. Thank you.
I'm going to close these tabs because I don't need them anymore. Just be careful you aren't closing this one. I would suggest saving often because we never know when our computers are going to crash or the electricity is going to go out. So remember, when you're saving it, you're going to save it in the work in progress folder. I'm saving it as a Photoshop file, and then I would maybe save it as just Color Wheel. Save often. Alright, let's see what other images I've selected, and then we'll wrap this up. Alright, got a leaf. So if this is taking a long time selected, I'm just going to get a bigger brush size, and that'll just speed things up a little bit. Again, because I have that white background, it's making it nice and easy. Won't always be the case depending on what image you have. And copy. And paste. Let's resize that. Okay. And there we go. So for this project, again, all I want to see is that you have the template. You have all 6 sections filled in with that paint bucket. You have 2 objects in each, even though there's 2 booths, that only counts as 1 picture. So 2 objects in each section. And then for the final mark, what you're going to do is you are going to hit export it. Let's export it there. And for that last mark, I want you to save it as your last name and the project name. So Godin Color Wheel. Remember, I'm saving it in the export file because export means that I'm good and it's ready to hand it. Save. If we have done that, we can go ahead into D2L and submit it. So if you are new to EDSB, go ahead and really take your time with this. You have all day today, and I believe we have time for this on Monday as well. So take your time, find some good quality images. That'll just save you the frustration when you're trying to get a clean edge. Like on this fire hydrant picture, it wasn't the best quality. So that is it. All right. If I wanted to make my own, I would just go to this tool down here. And right now I have fill as purple, but I don't want any fill. That just means it's going to be solid. And let's also have a black outline. Alright, so I have my circle. I also have many other circles for some reason. And then I can also add lines. And if you are choosing to do this method, just make sure that your line connects all the way to the edge. Otherwise, I'll show you what happens. Let's make this line not actually connect. This is a terribly cut pizza. It's a good thing I'm not in a pizza shop. If I don't have my lines connecting, when I go and fill this in, oh, I missed a step. There we go. So what happened there is that I didn't actually, let me undo that so you can see it. Why that happened is because my objects are actually still all in layers on top of each other. They're not connecting. So what I would want to do here is I want to make all of these separate shapes one layer. So I'm going to merge all my visible layers. So rather than having one shape or a bunch of different lines, I'm having one shape now. So I should be able to go ahead and paint bucket in now. So again, because that line wasn't connecting to the edge, it filled in 2 sections. So that's how you can make your own color wheel if